And now The Hill laying out the 5 big questions looming over the president right now. Let's talk with the author, White House columnist for The Hill, Niall Stanage. Niall, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, Nick. Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir.
Same to you. It doesn't look like the best Thanksgiving for the president, though. One of the big questions is the economy, which remains the top issue for many Americans. An NBC News poll finds 59% of voters disapprove of President Biden's handling of the economy and 38% approve. How big a problem is this, Niall, when the White House has been pushing this Bidenomics message?
In policy terms, Nick, I think this is possibly the biggest problem that faces the president. As you say, the White House is pushing the positive elements of his record. Those positive elements do exist, particularly in terms of job creation, where there have been almost 14 million jobs created over the course of the president's tenure so far. The problem is that bright spot is overshadowed by the legacy of very high inflation last year. It reached 9.1% last June. That was the highest rate since the 1980s. Inflation, by its nature, hurts absolutely everyone because everyone is subject to those rising prices. And I think that's one of the reasons why President Biden's poll numbers on that topic are just so bad.
And Niall, even though the president and his administration continue to talk about inflation going down, if people ain't feeling it in their pocket, it just does not resonate. President Biden just turned 81, as polls show many voters are concerned over his age and stamina. And you also have former President Trump gaining momentum. What's giving Democrats the most heartburn, that age or Mr. Trump gaining momentum?
It's obviously a combination of both, but I think age is the real concern because that issue is the one that is almost impossible for the president to overcome. I mean, he's the age he is. That's a fact. Now, he has tried to cast his age as something that gives him wisdom, that gives him experience. We hear the same message from his allies. But you look at opinion polls, you see in one recent CNN poll, 48% of Democrats don't believe that he has the sharpness to serve effectively as president. That's very difficult to overcome. And of course, it does go in tandem with the other point that you raised. President Trump, former President Trump, rising in the polls, no longer looking unelectable as Democrats once hoped he might.
And Niall, you just mentioned those poll numbers and how Democrats are not feeling super enthusiastic. Does that portend to you that they then will not show up or that they will go in a different direction come election time?
So I think the danger of them not showing up is probably the graver one from the perspective of the White House. There are a number of reasons for that, including dissatisfaction in some respects with the president's very staunch support of Israel in the Middle East conflict that's going on at the moment. But basically, there are problems with young voters, with black voters, with progressive voters, none of whom are showing really enormous enthusiasm for the president at this point. That could change, of course, in the year that is left before the election. But if that enthusiasm remains depressed and those voters simply don't show up, that could be determinative in and of itself.
Niall, I want to hit one more thing. I've got about 40 seconds that you mentioned in your column in The Hill. You also mentioned that third-party candidates have been emerging. How could that upend this race, Niall?
A number of ways. There are a number of candidates who are obviously running, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being the most prominent. Kennedy could take as many votes from former President Trump as from President Biden. But Cornel West and Jill Stein, who you see there on screen, running from the left, they could hurt Biden, taking some of those progressive voters away. Joe Manchin, bit of a wild card. We don't know if he's going to run yet, and it depends what his constituency really is. Are people really enthused about Joe Manchin for president?
Niall Stanage from The Hill, once again breaking it all down for us. Niall, thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you, Nick. All the best.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.